Can we go?
Back then
No,
you
it's not.
You don't want to do ticket go somewhere.
Hey, you gotta wait for me. You have your ticket.
不知道。那也可以上上。啊，还是往前走一点。
哎呀，我是想在这上，我不要往前走。
那。
Bro, bro, if you're sick, don't just leave. If you're sick, just like don't go.
You should see crossing from car to car are your train crew. You'll also notice how there are chains up to deter you from crossing, but they are not weight bearing. So we ask that you please do not lean on the chains or sit on those because we don't want you to prematurely exit the tour. You will notice that because we're on a very real train and we're going up a very real mountain, we will feel lots of very real bumps and jolts. And sometimes we'll even feel some swaying back and forth. Now, of course, all of this is normal, but if you are standing up, we ask that you please always use 3 points of contact. So that means having 2 feet on the ground and 1 hand on the back of a seat or a hand railing. One place that you don't want to put your hands or fingers are in the doorways and in the window frames. The doors and windows can slam very quickly and suddenly with the movement of the train. So just be very mindful where you do put your hands and fingers. This is an alcohol-free excursion. I know, and I'm sorry. If you have anything extra with you, we ask you please store it away. You're more than welcome to enjoy it at a later date and time. This is also a smoke-free excursion, so this includes electronic cigarettes and vaporizers, and if we do see you smoking, we'll just have to assume that you caught fire, and we will take all the necessary precautions to put you out. And I'd like to give a special welcome to any children on board the train today. Welcome aboard. You'll have to find your most favorite responsible adults, as they will have to accompany you at all times, especially if you choose to go out there on those exterior platforms. It also goes for any irresponsible spouses that might act like children. You know who you are. Please stay with the responsible spouse. So, that just about does it for all of our safety announcements. On a lighter note, my name is Tyler. I'm going to be the tour guide today. I'm in the middle of the train where my voice sounds the best. Because I'm stuck here in the middle of the train, I do have 2 other roaming tour guides. If you haven't met them yet, you will shortly. Their names are Dimitri and Katie. And hopefully we won't see him at all today. We like it when he stays up there in the edge. On your seats, hopefully everybody found an All Aboard magazine. There's lots of great information in there. I did want to turn your attention to the very last page. On the very last page of the All Aboard magazine, there is a map of the route that we are taking, and we will be traveling from Skagway, mile marker 0, going all the way up to the White Pass summit, mile marker 20.4, and this is the border between Alaska and British Columbia. We will be crossing over the border just very briefly, so we can go over that loop in the track and then come back down on the very same set of tracks. But because we go into Canada, and because nobody will be getting off at any point during the tour, we do not require a passport for this excursion. But if you were wondering which side is the better side to sit on, the answer to the question that you might be thinking is yes. Both sides are good, and you will get to see both sides of the train today. You'll see one on the way up, and then the other on the way back down. So that just about does it for all of our opening announcements. And again, I want to welcome everybody aboard the White Pass and Yukon Route Railroad, the scenic railroad of the world.
What? Yes. Can you imagine?
In the cemetery, and on his headstone it reads, "Here lies Frank Reed. He gave his life for the honor of Skagway." folks, here we of course will be traveling through the Tongass National Rainforest, which is the largest temperate rainforest in all of North America. It spans about 17 million acres and it covers most of southeast Alaska. So I like to say that any day that it's not raining in Skagway is a really good day. And it looks like the clouds have cooperated with us and they're up really high, so we do get to see a lot of great views today. Off to the left we can see the Skagway River, federally named because, yes, it does run through Skagway. But the Skagway River gets that milky color to it from all the glaciers.
Oh, that's a bird.
If you don't know what glacial silt is, when a glacier
eagle.
the land after thousands of years,
something.
it grinds the land that it's on to a very fine, almost a flour-like consistency. It deposits that sediment into the water, and that's what gives the Skagway River that very milky color. Now folks, we are coming up to the first mile marker outside of Skagway city limits, which is the Denver Station, mile marker 5.8 if you're following along on the rail map. Here we used to stop trains, they had to let off passengers that got to look at all the hard work that had been done when they were first building the railroad, but nowadays we drop off passengers. They get to hike to the view of a glacier a few miles away. Unfortunately, we don't get to see that view from the train, but we still do stop at the Denver Station, and we still drop off hikers that get to hike to that very same view of the very same glacier. What we will get to see will be coming up to the right-hand side. We're going to see a small red caboose, and this one.
Yeah. It's disappeared. Yeah.
And now our train, which is Whitehorse, the capital of the Yukon Territory, and that is where our local McDonald's is. It's only about a 2-hour drive away. From there you can drive down to the lower 48 states on the Alaskan Highway.
So this road that we're paralleling here, this is the South Klondike Highway. It is the only road in and out of Skagway. So if we want to go anywhere, we're going to Canada. That's all we got. And that is where the nearest big grocery store is. It's about 2.5 hours up that road. And that's where our nearest movie theater is. So we spend a lot of time up
Now
there.
again, there was no gold being found in Skagway. Skagway was considered the gateway to the Klondike because it was the furthest inland that you could sail before you had to choose between some different trails to get up to Lake Bennett. From Lake Bennett, you had to make your boat or your canoe or raft by hand and then float down the connecting lakes and rivers. Again, almost. There were two different trails, or two main trails, getting up and over the mountains to get to Lake Bennett. That was the Chilkoot Trail and the White Pass Trail, so he, the man, put the debate to rest. And in August of 1897, he... incinerator, but coming up in a few moments is another building with a teal roof, and this is our U.S. Customs building. I like to call it our local IHOP because it is our International House of Passports. This U.S. Customs building was built 12 miles south of the actual border. Canadian Customs was actually built 7 miles north. So there's almost 20 miles of no man's land, and you want to be on one side or the other before these customs buildings do close at 11 p.m. every night. They do close down the road at night, and then they reopen at 6 o'clock in the morning each day. In a few moments, we are going to be coming to a very brief stop. There is another train coming up here to the right-hand side. We are coming up to our siding track. we have
That's crazy.
makers, artists, chefs, anything that you can imagine except for an experienced laborer prospector whose boulder came tumbling from the mountain and it killed 2 workers and their pack animals instantly. The names of these 2 workers were Alex Janot and Maurice Dunn. It was decided by Michael J. Key, the foreman and engineer of the railroad, that the giant boulder was...
Would be a lot of work. Here's that clearing here to Breathtaking Falls. She is such a beauty. So that's coming all the way down from a glacier on the other side of that mountain.
Oh wow.
It goes underneath the highway and then all the way down to the valley bottom. It's also said that if you get 1 drop of Breathtaking Falls water on your skin, you'll find your true love in that year, get married. So it's my first year as a tour guide. I decided to test it out. Drove up to Canada, pulled over, took a whole dip in that waterfall. It was freezing, yes. But who knows? Could be my year. Crazier things have worked. Who knows?
They did all that dangerous work for about $3 a day, which was a pretty good wage back then. However, they did have to give $1 back for room and board for solo car trip. So if you are afraid of heights, don't worry. We'll just cross that bridge when we get there. Through the connecting lakes and rivers, another 550 miles just to get to where all the gold is being found. Once they finally got to Dawson City, they could make a claim for land through the Canadian government and then... earlier, any day that it's not raining in Skagway is a really good day. And we get to see some views that we don't always get to see from the train. So if you look here to the left, sharply above us, we can see this mountain that's just peeking through the clouds. These are the Sawtooth Peaks. This mountain is the tallest one that we can see from the train, standing just shy of 7,000 feet in elevation. Another great view that we don't always get to see is a view of a glacier that feeds the beautiful Breathtaking Falls. So if you look to the mountain to the left but ahead of us, you can see that one with the green peeking through. That is not just snow up there, but that is the Carmack Glacier, named after George Washington Carmack, the man credited for finding gold in Dawson City. But again, this is the glacier that feeds the beautiful Breathtaking Falls that we saw at mile marker 11.5 on the map. Also, off to the right-hand side, looking directly above us, see the mountain. see how there's lots of cults out there. They do use power drills, but back then, tie in for ropes, and then they could start their 10-hour workday. In a few moments here, off to the left and ahead of us, we'll get to see a great view of the train as it starts to curve. We'll be crossing over that wooden trestle bridge.
Oh, we're gonna cross the bridge. I think. Oh, bridge. Crossing bridge. glacial 真是好。
Yeah, it looks pretty funny. Covered in snow up here, totally white. No trees on the last wave on just stage, pop over it. And then basically then we come back next year. Yeah. Corn mac.
Our favorite views recently. All the way down there we can see the valleys opens up and we can see this large body of water coming into view. But no, that is not the mountain lake or a mountain lake, that is actually the Pacific Ocean. And more specifically, that is the Skagway Harbor. So that is where we started our journey today. From here, Skagway is about 10 miles away as the crow flies. We're about 17 miles away by rail. This area was named an inspiration point, so hopefully you're all feeling inspired. Here, for around 25 cents or so, bring them to Skagway and sell them to people who, again, do any of this to truly sadden you, but just to give you all an accurate depiction of what life was like back then, and how those greedy stampeders, they would stop at absolutely nothing to find gold. Panama Canal, Golden Gate Bridge, Seattle Space Needle, and many others. So we will be passing by this bridge off to the left-hand side, and as we do so, we can see why we probably wouldn't want to cross over it today. We will be going over a new bridge that took the cantilever's place and into the second tunnel of our trip today. This second tunnel is about 3 times as long as the last, and it's about 3 times as dark. So get ready for some more darkness. As we start to curve, we can look ahead of us to see the train as it does curve, but as we cross over the bridge, you can look down below us on both sides to see some great views of the Skagway River, but to the left there's going to be a great parallel shot of the Cantilever Bridge.
It's already collapsed. Oh. Learn again. 哦，这个可以。
Check this out.
Like, where am I?
Now folks, as we exit the tunnel here, if you look to the left and down below us in the gulch, we can see a little thin glossy line that we're traveling parallel to. A little left down there is the actual White Path Trail. It's marked by a sign that says Trail 98. From here we might get to see some discarded tin cans, shovel heads, and pickaxes. There are artifacts left behind by the gold rush stampeders over 125 years ago. Now this is where they were hiking with their year's worth of food and supplies. And of course, the trail in this area was a little bit wider than what we can see here, but it wasn't that much wider than the aisles of your train car. And it was designed, of course, as two-way traffic with pack animals. Once they got up to the summit, that's where the Northwest Mounted Police.
Yeah, this is the only part we can post on the train.
And they were just checking in to make sure everyone had.
Yeah, they were along the way. There'd be little checkpoints where you could stay for the night. There'd be little like
Racing off of that long
housing and calls.
Or if the Northwest Mounted Police didn't.
But yeah, it's such a small trail. Here's where I narrowed, and it was just a disaster.
And this goes all the way to the town?
This goes all the way to like the. Yeah, but we only see that's the only portion we see of it, the whole train ride, because it goes straighter to the train.
Walk this?
You can't walk this anymore.
Okay.
You can only do the choke on the other side. Yeah.
They had yellow stripes going down their pants.
Yeah, it's too overgrown and like out of control.
Where the something there was a stop where you could walk to the glacier.
Yeah.
Is that a big glacier?
Yeah, it's really beautiful. That is the Lawton Glacier. So there's two glaciers. You
Have you ever walked it?
I haven't. I actually booked it for in a couple weeks. Dude, there's a cabin up there you can book overnight, just like the caboose.
Is it a long walk to get up there?
That one is actually not. The one of the caboose is a lot longer. The Denver Trail is about 5 miles. That one's only about 2 miles, and it's supposedly super epic. So I'm really excited to see it this year.
And you go right up to it.
Yeah, you go right up to it, and the cabin is really close to the glacier as well.
Cool.
So it's a very cheap vacation from Skagway.
So are we in Canada now?
We are about to be in Canada. We'll see it. Yeah.
Cool, boys.
Now folks, here we are coming up to the summit, and soon we'll be around just shy of 3,000 feet in elevation. We're coming up to the summit, so off to the left-hand side, sharply above us, on the hill we'll get to see a small bronze obelisk, and this is what marks the border between Alaska and British Columbia. So as we cross over the border, we will be entering Canada just very briefly. That way we can go over the loop in the track and come back down on the very same set of tracks. WNP on the side, and that stands for Northwest Mounted Police. This is one of the many places that they were staged. Again, they were just checking in to make sure everyone had that full year's worth of food and supplies. So folks, here we have made it up to the summit, so you can feel free to celebrate amongst yourselves. Now we are in British Columbia. On to the left-hand side, there are those 4 flags that mark some, not all of the different areas that our train travels through. British Columbia flag is missing. Not sure why.
The border.
From left to right, they are the United States, Alaska, Yukon Territory, and Canadian flags, again marking most of the different areas that our train travels through. And off here to the left, we can see this large body of water. This is Summit Lake, cleverly named because, yes, we have made up to the summit. This lake was carved out by a glacier, just like everything else out here, thousands of years ago. So even though the lake doesn't run that much wider than what we can see here, it runs about 4 miles long, and some places it can run somewhere around 150 feet deep. And if there are any fishermen on board, the answer to the question that you might be thinking is yes. There are some fish in the lake, mostly Arctic grayling, and a few lake trout as well. Soon we will be going over the loop of the track, so for everyone that was back down in Skagway, this hat is exclusive to those that take the railroad. This is a black baseball style cap that features our logo at the front, celebrating 125 years since our train's been established. On the back, embroidered in blue, it says, Scenic Railroad of the World. And all of these hats are fully adjustable Velcro, so one size does fit most head sizes. They can have any color that you like as long as it's black. And it's being sold on board the train, again, for $10 US. Your roaming tour guides can only